I didn't see any purple hearts on the last episode. So you made it.
Messed up on my Lenten thing.
Welcome back to another episode of Enkindled Voices. My name is Maria,
And my name is Carmen.
and we are your host of the day. Welcome back to another episode. Happy March.
Yes, we're in the beginning of March now,
Yes.
first week.
That's crazy. And we're celebrating. March is dedicated to Saint Joseph. So, Saint Joseph, intercede for us in this episode. And for all those who are looking for a job, a house, uh, who need prayers for their families, just Saint Joseph, you are the man's pray for us.
Yeah.
Wow, we're also entering the third week of Lent. We just had the second Sunday of Lent, and I feel like Lent is just flying right by.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I think today I came across a post. Someone posted it because today when I was going to work and even yesterday I was like, "Dang, Lent is going by quick." And I know during this Lenten season, there's been a lot of things happening in my life again. I'm like, I
Yeah.
think I go crazy and then calm and then crazy and then calm again. So um, pretty much every Sunday during Lent, I'm either at a different parish
Mhm.
rather than my usual home parish. Um, so then I was reflecting, like, oh wow, this has been going quick. And
Yeah.
then today I did see a post about a girl. I don't know who, I forgot who it was, but she's probably Catholic too. I'm assuming. Yeah, and she was saying how, like, whoa, it was just Ash Wednesday, and now we're in the second week or going into the
Into the
third
third.
week already.
Mhm.
And she's like, dang it. And I feel like I already messed up on my Lenten things, and I'm
On the
like,
Lent.
dang. I'm like, sometimes that's
It's
how it feels.
yeah. I mean, I just keep thinking of like how we were saying at the beginning of the year. Like first, it's New Year's,
Hmm.
then it's Ash Wednesday, and next thing you know, it's Easter. The whole year has flown by. Like I just keep having that like at the top of my head because it's so true. Like, and sometimes to a certain extent, I feel like that's just where the enemy also starts to like
Hmm.
busy up our lives more because it
Yeah.
makes it easier to just get distracted and lose your focus on like Jesus is the reason still for the season. But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, if you are also feeling like you're already failed at what you decided to add or remove from Lent, like it's okay. We're only now beginning the third week of Lent. Like I think the purpose is to come out of it differently, and if you fall one day, like just get back up and restart. It's okay. I've been doing the devotion with the Ascension Presents one, the crew. They announced it with the whatever. um, but and I like it because they do you're doing the prayer, then there's the fasting, like leaving something behind, and then there's the exercise. I've been doing all of it except for the exercise. So I also, part of me feels that little guilt, but do want to eventually start adding the exercise component because it's all about like feeding your body, your soul, everything. So it's okay. Lent is not perfect.
Yeah.
And I think that's just that reminder. It's just like loving where you are at. And as long as Jesus is still your main focus for it and not like a dietary or something, then it's okay.
No, yeah, for sure. Because I think sometimes we try to focus too much on maybe like, oh, I'm doing this because I want to be like that, or I'm of me, but it's
Yeah.
like, no, we should be focusing
More
it,
on Jesus.
giving it, yeah, to him.
Because you could also be hitting everything that you set yourself out to do, but if Jesus is not still the reason behind it and it's just like to check something else off, then you're still missing the whole point of what
Yeah.
Lent is about. So I don't think that it's about perfectionism or anything. It's just like ultimately how you're incorporating your prayer and what the intention behind it is. Yeah, I think when Ash Wednesday had just hit, I saw a video afterwards where it was a girl saying like, "Yeah, you could be fasting or something, but if you missing your macros or whatever was the biggest thing weighing behind you, then you miss the whole point, because it's like, yeah, you're missing, you're like, oh, man, I'm not hitting my protein goals or things like that. And one could say, well, you're fairly healthy, but it's like, if in your fasting all you're worrying about is what you're not eating or stuff like that, then again, you're missing like the point of, did you surrender that fasting
Yeah.
for something? What are you offering it for? So
Yeah.
I think it's just all behind on the message of it.
Yeah, for sure. And then I think even if we're not careful with that, because I have been also seeing like a bunch of people coming back to their Catholic faith,
Mm-hmm.
which is really, really beautiful. And then if it comes across that someone doesn't really know the meaning behind like giving up or offering up or getting something in like doing something extra for Lent,
Yeah.
like it could be very like, oh, like no, let me do this for me, or like the worldly things, because we live such in a world that it's like it's you,
Yeah.
and like I
It
don't know.
it needs to be less of you and more of him.
Yes,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah, it's true. And I mean, I love how many new Catholics like we really are going to experience. And like I saw someone did a post about it, and then they were talking about like sometimes, like, yes, the church encourages us to fast, but also like if you're pregnant or things like that, like you're not
Yes.
expected to. And I was reading the comments. I like reading the comments, and some people were like, "Oh my gosh, thank you so much. Like, I'm Catholic. I was so worried that I was going to have to fast the entire time, and I was worried about like how it was going to be and things like that." So I was all like, "Wow, like people really don't know." And like, no
Yeah.
shame if you don't know, but it's like also like there's really people who are embarking on this journey for the first time.
Yeah.
So we're praying for you guys. You're just getting closer to your Easter vigil, or for those who are just starting with your faith. And I
Yes.
mean, you're also like awesome. It's awesome that you're trying it out. And if you feel like, I mean, Lent is just like that special moment, and the purpose is to lead you closer to God. So I think like at the end of it, there's gonna be like a lot of like heartful conversions for it, and then in the same way that there will be some that like it just felt like another Lent. But don't let
Yeah.
this Lent just be another season or another like time that you just gave up meat
Yeah.
for it. Have a purpose behind
Yes.
it. But yes, we hope that your Lent is going by pretty good. And also, before I forget, big thank you to Sarah for being
Mm-hmm.
our guest during the last episode. I think that we kind of wrapped up a little bit of the our marriage vocation series with it,
Mm-hmm.
and I think February was just. I love that one of our goals for this is to every month there's a new devotion to something, like how March is to Saint Joseph.
Mm-hmm.
I think I forget who April, but May is like to Mary. There's like a different devotion every
Yeah.
month. So
Yeah.
we're hoping to cover some of those topics. So we know that last week we ended up a little abrupt. We clearly love to talk. So we are gonna do a part two with Sarah.
Yes.
Later down, hopefully this month. So
Yeah.
stay tuned for that episode, because I think the conversation was just getting
Yeah.
started.
And for those that didn't watch the video and just like probably listen to it, because I know on the video
Oh,
we
that's
put
right.
like, oh, the camera died. So yeah, the camera did. I ran out of battery,
Hmm.
and but we just kept talking. The
Yeah,
mics were was still picking up
the audio.
the audio. So yeah, hopefully we could bring Sarah back, or any other couples, and like talk
Yes.
about a little bit more about families and marriage
Yes,
and
and
all of that.
whatever vocation it is that you are discerning. But yes, in
Hmm.
that sense, since we did two episodes talking about singleness, and we'd only think it'd be fair for the month of love, the month of the Holy Family,
Yeah.
um to bring up the Holy Family. And
Yes.
if that's your vocation, then that's what we should be striving for,
Hmm.
praying for, to have and lead a holy family. So yes, we'll continue with that episode
Yeah.
very soon, hopefully. Yes, but Saint Joseph to me is someone who I can't say. I mean, there's a little picture of Saint Joseph back here. Um,
Hmm.
sorry, phone fell. I can't say that I've had a relationship with Saint Joseph for a long time. as I could say, like, Mary, that's my girl, me and Our Lady of Guadalupe since I was a little girl. Like, I love her. I've asked for her intercession frequently. Saint Joseph, I would say, he's only been my guide for like the past 2 years.
Yeah, I think it's been pretty recent because I feel
Mm-hmm.
like growing up, I mean, I knew that St. Joseph was there, but I think, I don't know, I never got taught as much of what he did or what, I don't know, like things behind him.
Mm-hmm.
It was, I think, until some years, sorry, some years ago. Um, the one thing that first like really caught my eye was when they were talking about well, like during Advent,
Mm-hmm.
how obviously Joseph and Mary, like they were walking through
The
the
desert.
desert and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and like how he was that, you know, that figure, that person that was caring for Mary and being there for her, and him walking and him being older and like saying yes to God, like, oh, take her, like, you know,
Mm-hmm.
be with her, you know, even though all of these other things had been happening.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, back in the day, if someone married someone that was already with child, it was like really really bad.
They would
um,
stone them. Mm-hmm.
yeah, and he said, like, in his dream, you know, I Saint Gabriel.
I think it is Saint Gabriel.
Yeah,
Yeah.
told them like, no, go for it, do it, because it's
He had some doubts.
yeah, he did have some doubts, and so it's like learning about him and like, I don't know. I think once you start learning about a saint and how they were like the like here on earth, like their earthliness
Earthliness of it.
of it, like their humanness of it,
Uh-huh.
it's like, wow, like in a way you could relate to that, and like
A
how,
little
I
bit
don't know,
more.
how caring he was, and how how willing he was to do it all and how he
Yeah.
did it. And I'm like, it's just so beautiful to see that about him, and him just being so quiet also in the Bible,
Yes.
because I don't think he
There's just
says
not
any.
I don't know if there's anything that's like mentioned in
Yeah.
the Bible, but that's just Saint Joseph. Like that's I don't want to say that he gets forgotten, but a lot of us don't have that connection
Yeah.
because Saint Joseph just did it all, I think, with such a grace and like quietness, and that's what we should like embody.
Yeah. And
Like to have that faith and say yes.
yeah.
But yeah, there's not much on Saint Joseph.
No.
Like he's mentioned in Jesus's early childhood, but then
Mhm.
from there
Mhm.
you just stop hearing about him. But
Yeah. And
yeah,
it's just beautiful. I know when I was a child, I would watch the movie,
the nativity scene.
yeah, the nativity scene, and like just seeing him and playing with Jesus and like looking for him, like all of those things, like I would always be like, oh wow, like that's so cool. And then growing up, like learning a little bit even more about him and how quiet he was. I've always been quiet in my life. I've always
Hmm.
been like just like there, like either listening or just, I don't know, very quiet. So I think in that way I started relating more to him.
Hmm.
And it's like, I don't know, it's like that special connection. It's like it's growing, it's getting there,
It's
but
building.
it's really beautiful to see how, who and how and what he does and how I don't know. It's
And
he's
how much
amazing.
he
Yeah.
helps, yeah. And I mean, something I just learned. I just knew March is dedicated to Saint Joseph, but I didn't know his exact feast day. So I was like,
Yeah.
Carmen, his feast day is the day after your birthday. So she's like, yeah, I knew that. And I was like, I did it. So I was like,
Yeah.
even cooler. So I mean, needless to say, it's like I think that that's like the beauty of it. That
Mhm.
sometimes as you begin to grow in your faith, you just like start to grow in connections with the saints even more. So it's like maybe at some point, because some people even with Mary, they don't have that connection to her,
Yeah.
and you would think that's the norm, but I think you just have your moments with it. But one thing that I would say is if you have the opportunity to, definitely do the consecration to Saint Joseph. There's a consecration to Mary, and it's like 33 days to morning glory. But then there's also the version to Saint Joseph, and through those 33 days is when I started to learn a little bit more about him. I can't think of anything like at the top of my head right now, but I know that as we were reading, I was like learning so much, and I was like, wow, because they even talk about like the little house that Jesus grew up with, and how it got like moved around and stuff like that. So that devotion was really good. But yeah.
No, and I was gonna say what makes me cry or all the time is how Joseph obviously was a carpenter,
Uh-huh.
and he taught Jesus how to do all of that.
Yes.
And then there was like, I think it was in the Chosen.
When he pulls out a little toy?
Yeah,
No.
he pulled out. What did he pull out? It was something.
Uh-huh.
But I think his dad had made it,
Oh.
or was it Mary? I forgot. But basically, it's crazy to see how all his life, Joseph was teaching Jesus how to
Mm-hmm.
do all of these things, and like how he grew up, and like,
Saint Joseph really made Jesus little toys.
yeah, it's so crazy
That's
to
so
see
cute.
that.
Because I mean, at least we talk about the chosen all the time, but I mean, it's just a great show. But in there, there's like in one of the very first seasons, I think like Jesus is making like a little playhouse for a little girl, so that
Yeah.
it's like, oh, it's like the little figurines, and like that's like something that Saint Joseph, because he was a carpenter, so that's like the traits that he passed down. And I think it's like in the latest season, where he brings out, um it's what he puts on the donkey.
Yes,
Is that
that's
what you
the
were talking
thing. Yeah,
about?
yeah, yeah.
Okay, so that one, it was passed, I think, from King David down, cuz and
Oh.
then it starts with the scene of King David, and then and then it's just like getting passed down to him. So like Saint Joseph did give that, because Saint Joseph was a descendant of
Yeah.
David. So then he did pass that on.
Oh.
But I was all like, oh my gosh, that scene like made me cry. It's such a good scene. Maybe I need to just rewatch it. I should have done
Me
that.
too. I know.
Rewatch the Chosen before, during this Lent.
Oh,
Yes.
yeah.
But St. Joseph, you can do it during this month if you want to grow closer to your relationship with St. Joseph. There's definitely like, if you don't feel ready to dive into like the 30-day novena for him, there is a 9-day novena that you can do. His feast day is on March 19th. So I
Mm-hmm.
believe the feast starts on March 10th,
Yeah.
and you could just pray the 9 days up to it. You could follow the Instagram of Pray More Novenas.
Mm-hmm.
They do an amazing job of posting like all the relevant novenas of that month. Or there's the 30-day novena. I did the 30-day novena. I kind of talked about it a little bit like on one of the latest episodes, but I did the 30-day novena when I was looking for another job before I did this switch. And I want to say that, I mean, obviously novenas are not like a magical prayer and stuff like that. At the end of the novena, you could either get the prayer that you desired for, or it might be what you weren't hoping. What it might
Yeah.
be not at all, but that's just like the will of God and stuff like that. So you're also praying just like for acceptance
Yeah.
of whatever that decision might be. But when funny enough, when we started we were like, well, our family is going through something, like, let's do the consecration. And right at that time, I knew that I just wasn't content with where I wanted to be, like, career wise. So I started that novene, that consecration, in petition for, yes, our family things, but also like for me to decide what I wanted to do, because I didn't had no idea what I wanted to do, but I just knew that like just looking for jobs is so hard,
Yeah.
especially because obviously, no, I don't like to. I mean, I do like to work now, but like at the time, I was like, everything that I kept searching for, like nothing like appealed to me. Like
Yeah,
I was
it's
just like,
hard.
I was like, I don't want to drive this far. And then this one, like, it looks like you just don't earn enough. And this is just, it didn't feel like my calling. So that's why I was like, let me just do this novena. And as I started it out, an opportunity came up, and so then I applied for like that job, and then next thing you know, like a second job came up, and then when I was reaching to my manager to get like the references, then she like said like, we're always happy to have you back, so if you want to, like, just apply to us. And I was like, shoot, I started this novena with like 0 jobs, and now I have like 3 jobs lined up. And so then at that time when that came up, I had reached the halfway point of the novena. So then I was like, okay, well, during my first 15 days, I was praying for a job. Now, during these next 15 days, let me pray to make the right decision, because one of the jobs, well, I was still waiting to hear back. So that one wasn't a guarantee. The second job, which was like the one going back, would mean going back to the previous job that I had left. And yes, I would have had the convenience of it being like super close to my house, no commute. Um, Pretty lenient there, like with days off or things like that. But it also meant like going back to like a toxic trait or whatever. And I think if I really wanted to, then I could have pushed to get like a higher like earning and stuff. Um, so then I was like, well, do I go back to that, or do I just keep discerning for this other job that seems scary, but felt like it could potentially lead me somewhere good. So I just kept praying that novena, and then I think by the end of it, then I was called to like interview. But then somewhere amongst the lines of like this novena things, then like I was also, we were offering it up for like a family intention, and things started going down south at the time. So then I was all like, well, we were praying this novena, we were praying it for the family. Who knows, like I want to say there was a lot of like spiritual warfare going on. And obviously when you start praying it, then things will start like purifying. So at that time it was like very painful. And but I was all like, you know what, we're still gonna continue finishing this devotion. And I think like if this is what had to come out of it, then like all glory to God. Like we just have to trust it. And I don't want to share too much about that family thing because it's like not for me to share. But just know that like after a whole year, like things worked out. That's where it comes to show that sometimes prayers might take longer to like be answered, but that's where you have to remain like faithful. But at the same time, like um it was well, yeah, closer to Carmen's birthday. Like we did a
Oh
trip.
yes, I
We
remember.
did a trip for her birthday, and we came back, and then that's when we got hit with like the very heavy news. So we were like, oh shoot. So that went down, and then I was all like, okay, let's try to push those emotions down, because then the next day I've got my official like interview. And then I
Yeah.
had to do so then there I was bawling my eyes out before the interview, and I had to act like nothing happened. And then and then um we were getting closer to the 30 days, and I finally um got told that I landed the job. So like that job did take like a whole 30 days, if not a little bit more, from since where I applied until I got the job. And I was like, yes, we had a shitty like family situation going on, but at the same time, I was so grateful to St. Joseph, because I was going to need that job to like push us through, because like my husband's like family business was like starting to go a little bit like downhill. So then I was all like, you know what, we are gonna hit some scary like times, but I know that like St. Joseph's got us. And luckily this job was offering me like a good like pay. So then I was like, I felt secure going into it. So it's like on the inside I was like crying a lot because of it all, but I was also very content for that opportunity. And I mean, people could argue and say like, well, you knew like the person like for one of the jobs that I applied to. But it's like, yes, you could know people, but nonetheless, like it is, afterwards I found out like how competitive it is to like get into like that company. And so then I'm like, till this day I'm like very blessed that I am there and that I was selected, because it's like it's a job that I truly do love a lot, because we help out a lot of like one of the populations that's like in need of community. So yeah.
No, and it's a beautiful thing, like having that moment, because I feel like when all of those things were happening, you could have easily been like, "No, we're done with
With the book,
with the book."
because there were some long stories, like
Yeah.
it is it's a lot of reading.
Like you could easily have been like, "No, we're done with it. Let's focus on
Yeah.
getting this or going through this other
Uh-huh.
thing." But then God is so big, so amazing. Like sometimes things happen, or like, God the puts in your head, like, do this consecration,
Mm-hmm.
like, here you go, here's a book, here's the audio, here's everything. And like, us as humans, if we're like, if we become lazy or we don't want to do it, it's like, okay, it could be easily like, no, no, no,
You
like,
could easily just throw it off.
just throw it off. But like, having that faith and being like, no, I'm gonna stick with it,
Mm-hmm.
even though everything's going how it's going.
Mm-hmm.
I think at that point, at that moment, it's like your faith keeps on growing even stronger, even more, even though certain things might not go, because it's
Like as
never
planned.
as planned. It's
Yeah.
never easy.
Yeah, and I mean, Saint Joseph, funny enough, is known as like the terror of demons and stuff
Yeah.
like that. So I think that in that family, like, there was a lot of like things that did need to be like purified.
Yeah.
And when like everything was like going down, like on that initial day, like I think I don't want to say that my spirituality is something that like I um lack in. It's my discernment. Sometimes I don't
Yeah.
trust my discernment, especially when it's like, like you just start to dive in a little bit more into prayer, and I'm like, I don't know, am I listening to this, or is it like in my head and I'm just trying to make sense of it? But like there was a moment where I was just like, as arguments or things were going down and I was just there like trying to take it all in, I was like praying and I was all like, no, this is not coming from God. And I was all like, there's something like bad going down here, like there's like some possession. And I
Yeah.
was all like, and I think I did like reach out to a couple of people and I was all like, okay, tell me that I'm not crazy, tell me that this is like actually going on. And then yeah, I mean, a couple of months later, like, yes, it was confirmed that there was like some um possessions going on. So then that's where it's also like Saint Joseph, hello, like was it's gonna be like sometimes when you truly are praying for something, it's not going to look pretty at the moment.
Yeah.
But that's where I said, like, I could say like trust that at the end of it, like God does provide prevail himself. And like this took a year. There's some family scenarios, some cases that like it takes years before your prayer
Yeah.
is answered. And that's where he calls us to not give up. And I mean, we're in the desert. Jesus was in the desert for 40 days.
Yeah.
He was fasting. It's like, imagine how eternal that like must have felt. It's when he was also tempted, like the devil appeared to him and said,
Yep.
you are the son of God, like you could make food appear if you really wanted to. You're hungry, make yourself, like, make some food appear, make some water appear. And like that's where Jesus also had to be strong and say like, no, I am here for a purpose, and I will not. So it's like, if we're struggling to fast like 4 hours, like we just have to pray a little bit more.
No, yeah.
Yeah,
And it's like, yeah, sticking with your faith. And I think it's easier said than done.
for sure.
And I think when you're in certain journeys of your life or things that are happening, like, I think that's when God puts, like, you're put to the test.
To the test.
And it's like,
Yeah, and that's where we say like sometimes in order for your faith to grow, like you have to be stretched. You do. And even like thinking back about it, like that time was also during Lent, and coincidentally like they were leading like a big thing for our parish. So it's like temptations happened, unfortunately, like their prayer wasn't strong enough or whatever was the case, and they fell. Human, we can't judge them for what they did, like that's on, only God can judge us. But still, it's like where God invites us to walk in the desert with him. And Lent will sometimes, like, I feel like we depict it as like a beautiful thing, and it is a beautiful thing, but you're meant to be purified of it. And purification is not pretty.
And it happens.
Yeah.
It's not pretty. I mean, there's been so many Lents that things have happened to either
Oh my
people
gosh.
we know.
Yes, when you said that, I got like, I unlocked a memory of one time too. It was like another Lent. So like this is like us in high school. Like we were doing also like the Stations of the Cross within our friends. And some people ended up in the hospital. Like it was a whole case scenario. So then that's what I was like, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt
No,
you,
you're
but you
fine.
unlocked that. Yeah.
Yeah, there's been so many things. I
Yeah.
mean, close friends, like a bunch of stuff. And I guess that's how.
That's like the enemy work sometimes. Like I always say, like I don't know if you pay attention, and I'm not trying to like obviously give like the enemy like that power, but that is true. It's true. Like it's Good Friday. Like things start happening.
Yeah.
Like there's accidents. Like you're constantly hearing sirens and stuff like that. And it's not that like God is not present or anything, but it's like yes, maybe Jesus is not being like again crucified
Hmm.
like that same day, but it's like many years ago he was, and that's like when he descended into hell and he like
Yeah.
fought that battle. So it's like that there's a lot of like stuff that happened that day.
Yeah.
That's when the enemy just lets loose, and it's like, let me see who I can drag on. I don't know.
Yeah. So it's like if you're going through something or something starts happening, just remember, hold on to your faith,
Mm-hmm.
hold on to God, hold on, hold on tight. It could be a rocky road
Yeah.
sometimes,
It,
a rocky, yeah.
that's where you just ask for Saint Joseph's
Yeah.
intercession, like Saint Joseph and Mary. Call on both of them, and I mean Saint Benedict too. Like he's also like known to be. I mean, I have my Saint Benedict like medal and stuff like that. But if you're new to your faith, who better than to call upon when you're experiencing those spiritual battles
Yeah.
than Saint Joseph, Mary, the stomped on the serpent's head,
Saint Michael.
Saint Michael the Archangel. So
Yeah.
it's like if maybe you don't know, but you tend to focus more on like the evil eye or like um I don't know, crystals or things like that. I hate to break it to you, but that's not of the Catholic faith.
No.
And instead of using, you might be using that for your protection, but you're actually drawing
Hmm.
more of that negativity and of those things into your life. So if you are in possession of those things, then get rid of them. And you might have not known then, but now you know, go to confession.
Yeah.
And if you really feel like you are experiencing something, then yeah, if you're able to go to confession and get like something that could be blessed, a rosary, and
Hmm.
just pray to Saint Mary, Saint to Mary, Saint Michael the Archangel, Saint Benedict, or Saint Joseph. Like,
Yeah, because there are intercessors
mm-hmm,
that go then straight, to God, and the reason why Catholics we don't believe in those other things, it's because sometimes humans tend to use those things as if they were their God,
mm-hmm.
and we believe we have only one God.
We give that we give that
That power,
authority
yeah,
to that bracelet, that charm, instead
yeah,
of giving the authority to God.
yes,
So that's where we could fall into those
yeah,
temptations. Like, and it's like the first commandment. It's like love God above all things. It's like, or I don't know my commandments like that by the top of my head. I'm sorry, but like there is that one. It's
yeah,
like you should not bear like false gods.
yeah,
So it's like be careful of who you are making your idol, who are
yes,
you're
your
making your
idols.
god. And by idols, it doesn't mean like, oh, this person.
It
You could
could
be
even
idolizing your
money,
money, music,
yes,
relationships.
just earthly things,
Yeah.
like specific things. Like if you start wanting that more than your faith or
Yeah,
your
yeah.
love with to God, that's when we're on a
The
tricky.
imbalances,
Yeah.
yeah. And it's so easy to just like
Yeah.
cross over like from one to the other, and I think that's just where we have to be very careful and conscious of what we're draw being pulled to.
Yes.
Yeah, that's why it's hard. And it's not to discourage you. Again, it's just meant to like make you like be alert of what you are living and experiencing, because sometimes we just live life on autopilot.
Yeah, and that's so easy to
Yeah.
do. And then once you're there, sometimes you get into different things or different things pop out of nowhere, and then you're like, oh, shoot, let me stop my
Let
autopilot.
me stop it, or you're just on autopilot that you don't
Yeah.
even like realize anything that's coming, or you're just living life comfortably that you don't
Yeah.
even acknowledge, you don't even realize of what temptations you're falling
Yeah,
into.
because the world, shoot, the worldly stuff, they want to give us everything to be
Yes.
as comfortable as we want to be, like the most
Mm-hmm.
comfortable ever. But if we're living like that, that means like
that we're not focusing on
on
God.
God, because it's like, okay, it's like you're telling me I should love this super comfortable bed more than God.
Then
Like,
yeah.
it's like, no, like,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes, loving God and having that faith means,
Stepping out of your being uncomfortable.
yeah,
We weren't meant to live a like a pain-free
yeah,
life. Like sometimes I think people could confuse happiness for comfort,
mm-hmm.
or they think that like happiness it's something that is owed to us. Like
Yeah,
we are not owed anything.
no,
It's just that's where God loves us so much that he gives, but at the end of the day we can't expect it.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Mm.
because if we're living in a world where we're trying to expect everything, it's like, okay, chill,
Yes.
calm down.
And that's where I'm like, sometimes I just think of like that meme of like with like the Kardashians where it's like, Kim, there's kids dying out
Yeah,
there, like when she lost her diamond. And I have to tell myself, like, Maria, there's kids dying out there.
and
Because
that's
sometimes our
true.
problems could feel so big.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And yeah, sometimes we'll vent with our friends, with each other, which is fine, but I
Yes.
think if we just make it like, no, I'm the only person that's ever going to go through this. Like, no, like relax.
Have a reality check.
Yes.
Sometimes that's why I liked watching TikTok videos. Well, not like I didn't. I would just dive into like those episodes. Those like there's this guy on TikTok. I mean, I deleted it, but there I think his name is Alexis or something,
Mhm.
and he would do like it's basically a Mr. Beast, like where he
Oh,
would do
yeah.
like good things for like the poor and stuff like that. And then like I would watch him, and then there was a kid that I think that day I was just lying down in bed a lot, and the kids are like, we're bringing the kid his, what do you desire the most? And the kid was like a happy meal. And
Oh.
his house like was like in a little shed, and he had like no shoes and stuff, and he desired a happy meal. And I think that week I had like McDonald's, and I was just crying because I was all like, oh my god, I'm so ungrateful. And I was like, here's this kid desiring a happy meal, and I'm over here moping about something. And it's like,
Yeah.
that's not to say that like Carmen said like that we can't mope around, but it's like,
Yeah.
yes, acknowledge your emotions, but pick yourself up from them and pray because someone else is having it worse.
Yeah, and be grateful for what you have
Yes.
around you. Like pause right now, look
Hmm.
around you. Do you have something you're sitting on? Do you have a roof over
Yeah.
your head? Do you have a sweater, a jacket? Like we're so
We're so privileged.
privileged. Yeah.
We really are that we don't even acknowledge it.
Yeah.
Free schooling. I mean,
Yes.
obviously, there's like private schools, but it's like the fact
Yeah.
that we could have free schooling where we don't even have to pay for our books, like up until 12th grade, that still gives you a decent education.
Yeah.
And yet, you can't, some kids can't seem to grasp that and still like fail their classes and choose to refuse it when
Yeah.
there's kids who wish to go to school and yet they're being forced into child
To
labor or
labor.
to go out there and sell gum at the street so that they
Yeah.
could have something to eat, and acá nosotros like wasting the time.
Yeah, and then even
Yeah.
I was listening to a podcast or something. We also have the freedom to share our faith, to go to mass, to go to church,
Hmm.
to go through these religious like CCD
Yes.
confirmation. We have that freedom right now here.
At least in the US,
And
to live
yeah,
your faith freely without
yes,
being persecuted for it. That's
yeah,
something that I always tell our confirmation teens because it's like, like high schoolers, they're rebelling. But I do always say, like, you are so blessed and you don't even know it. That you can come to Mass and not have to worry about
yeah,
being killed for it, for receiving communion. There are countries that you still can't. How many priests, I think it's in Nicaragua, that like were killed because they're still
yeah,
like professing their faith. They were still celebrating their masses. There's masses that have to be celebrated underground and in secrecy
yes.
still till this day.
Because even
Yeah.
a while back when I was in Mexico, I went to a cathedral. I don't remember what it was called, but they were like it was really beautiful, and near the altar, the wall in the back,
Hmm.
it had like little holes on the wall, and then next to it, my brother was reading it, and it said like they would shoot up, like they would shoot, like
Mm-hmm.
because at that time, I guess they couldn't.
The Cristeros?
I think so. I'm
Mm-hmm.
not sure. I don't know much about history. I
Mm-hmm.
need to learn more.
Watch the movie For Greater Glory. It's
Yeah.
pretty good, and it explains a little bit of that part of that history. It's where Jose Sanchez del Rio,
Oh
like,
yes, it was
yes,
that. It was that.
he
Yes.
came up because I can't remember his age, but they said denounce Jesus, and he said I will never denounce. I said denounce Jesus, and they're all like, he was like nope, 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 and they were like denounce him, and he was a little kid, and I think his
Mhm.
padrino or something was like a soldier. He was like, please, like just denounce him. He was like, no, and they
Wow.
like peeled the bottom of his feet, and he ultimately died for it, but he
Yeah.
did not denounce him. And you just think about that, and you're like, wow, like to have a faith like that.
Mhm.
And here we are crying sometimes because like our boyfriend stumped us or something. And thinking like I like you lose your faith over like the littlest days. Que me hizo la cara de fuchi.
Or like the matcha didn't taste good.
Oh my
Arr.
gosh. Yeah. Oh my gosh. So we could go on and on about this, but needless to say, I think that this was also like our own, like at least my personal like little like wake up call that it's like, yes, we are hitting that like halfway point of our Lent. Ponte las pilas.
Yes.
Yes.
Definitely.
Realize how and I think that's what I have been enjoying about the devotion, that every day there's an examination of conscience.
Oh,
So it does force you to think of like the things that you are grateful for, what's something that you could do to like experience your faith differently the next day and stuff like that. So if you feel like you are living in a part where, and I've caught myself doing that, like where there was a time where I started to feel like very negative, and then I was like, but that's just like because my coworkers were very negative and they would complain a lot, so I feel like I naturally started to complain about everything, and I was like, I don't ever want to be that person who is always complaining and that someone walks away from and they're like, oh my gosh, this person drained me. So whenever I feel like I start to become that person where I'm like complaining, I'm like, stop it, check yourself. And that's where practicing gratitude, I think, could help.
for sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Sorry, big tangent, girl brains. This is the after hours of our 9 to 5.
Yes.
Derailing all of those thoughts.
Yeah.
Yes. Wow. I mean, I think honestly, just continue to pray for your faith. Keep it simple. Pray. You are at that halfway point
Yeah.
and ask for Saint Joseph's intercession. Like if you don't have a saint in mind, like we're just giving you a Saint Joseph because it's like his month, but find a saint that you could relate to and that will help you live your faith stronger. If there is something that you are battling with, ask for that saint. Like if you're struggling with alcoholism, like saints weren't perfect people. Yes, there's those saints who had that like strong faith as kids, but then there's also those saints who, I think there's a saint that died as an addict because he just couldn't give it up, but nonetheless his faith like remained there. I saw that a little while ago. There's just, saints aren't perfect and we're not perfect. When you go to mass, it's not symbolizing that you are perfect. It just means that you are willing to work on yourself
Yes.
to be better and to reach sainthood. Our goal as Catholics is to become saints.
Saints, yeah. And
Well,
there's so many different saints. Like
yeah.
literally Google it, put Catholic saint of something. And there you go.
Yes, yes, yes. So may you keep living this Lent in purpose.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, so our saint of the day is, wow, we do talk a lot.
So today's saint of the day is Saint John Joseph of the Cross. He was a Franciscan friar. He was known for his charity and service as a provincial
Mhm.
and canonized in 1839. He was the first Italian to follow the reform movement of St. Peter Alcantara, and he was also known for his dedication to serving others, working in the kitchen and hearing confessions. He is a patron saint of Ischia, Italy.
Yes, so Saint Joseph of the Cross, pray for us. So, yes, if you enjoyed this episode, thank you guys so much for watching. If you made it this far, I didn't see any purple hearts on the last episode. So if you made it this far, maybe drop a green heart for Saint Joseph or a white lily. Um, And if you enjoyed it, please remember to like, subscribe, and share this episode if there
Mhm.
was any little grain of wisdom that came out of it. But truly, thank you guys so much for watching. We'll be praying for you guys, and we hope that you pray for us as well. Till next time. Bye.
Bye.